As a beginner or someone who's new to pen and watercolor, have you ever looked at an ink drawing that you really liked and thought to yourself, do I really have to learn a hatch like this before I can start adding watercolor to my ink drawings? You may think that perfect ink hatching skills are needed before exploring pen and watercolor, but I want to help put you at ease and show you that using simple pen and watercolor techniques may just be the best approach to start this journey of yours. So, if this sounds like something you're interested in, then stick around. Grab your sketchbook and let's dive into the world of pen and watercolor. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Aaron, and in this channel, I help aspiring artists and illustrators improve their drawing skills with pen and watercolor. This is now the sixth video installation in my series, Bring Your Ink Drawings to Life, and I am so pleased that many of you are enjoying it and a lot of you are asking questions. So today's lesson is particularly important for beginners. So I want you to really pay attention and watch the example I give you of the older twin brothers that I drew. And let me know in the comments too, which one do you guys like better? Which style do you prefer? I really want to open your minds to the possibility of using different styles so that you can make the final decision that's ultimately going to help you begin exploring watercolors faster. So let's look at this ink drawing I did of an older man. I love all the detail hatching. It creates beautiful form, texture, and character, and I think it can pair fantastically with watercolor, as you're going to see in a little bit. But if you're a beginner to pen and watercolor, then my advice would be for you to take a step back and try not to overhatch for a bit. I want you to try a bit more beginner friendly pen and water approach instead. I have been getting so many comments from viewers telling me that they can't draw or they think that ink drawing and hatching is way too hard. And that's why I wanted to make this video for you all today. My goal is to show you sometimes that you should just keep your ink drawing simple and let watercolor do most of the work instead. So as we see this drawing, there's a lot happening here. I've used hatching and cross hatching to describe the planes of his face, wrinkles, beard, hair, clothing, shadows, which honestly took about 16 minutes just to draw this, not including the watercolor. And it did require a bit more concentration, a lot more hatch marks and intentionality to describe the form and the details in this drawing. Even without watercolor, there's already a lot of information here. And the wash that I add to it really doesn't give me the desire to add or play around with watercolor. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with this approach. Now, let's look at this simple ink drawing of the older man's twin brother. I want you to use less ink, less hatch marks. And as tough as this is for me to say, you're going to agree with me by the end of the video, I promise. This one was done in just under 5 minutes, very fast, very fun, loose style. And as you can see, it has very little to no hatching. And it's honestly not my favorite ink drawing, but this style of ink drawing with less hatching just might be the best approach for you. I'm still keeping it simple because leaving some of the drawing unresolved gives you room to explore watercolor more. It gives the viewer the ability to just starting out with pen and watercolor. So hear me out. So we're going to let the pen establish the drawing and then let watercolor establish more of the light, the shadow, the color, and the form. Making ink drawing with lots of hatching is great. Don't get me wrong. As your pen and ink skills develop, you may really enjoy working this way. I mean, I certainly do. This is why psychologically deciding to keep ink drawings very simple, it gives us way less pressure to practice with watercolor. So here's what I want you all to understand. You don't have to draw perfect ink drawings with loads of perfectly placed hatch marks before you're allowed to use watercolor. In fact, I recommend just focusing on keeping the important contour lines and some line variation for your ink drawings. And Now we've created an opportunity for the watercolor to shine. Just like you're going to see in this next ink drawing of the Clint Eastwood style inspired man that will be coming up soon. Oh, by the way, for this ink drawing, I'll be using the Copic multiliners. They're 100% waterproof and fantastic to use with watercolors. I opted for the very thick 1 millimeter tip. With these, I have never experienced any bleeding or smudging from them with any kind of water medium. So remember to always use waterproof pigmented ink for pens and watercolor. Don't forget to try out various pen sizes, kind of like this drawing where I used a really small Faber-Castell 0.3 millimeter fine liner to draw out this man walking on the sidewalk in Mexico. And if you're curious about any of these supplies that I'm using, they can be purchased in my art store linked in this channel's description on my YouTube's landing page. For watercolors, well, my daughters, they wanted my Winsor Newton travel palette, which was my favorite. So now I'm using my trusty Schmincke travel palette. I love these because of the very vibrant light fast colors that they have, which I believe are rated all at 4 and 5 stars, with the exception of the lemon yellow. And they're amazing. All right, let's get back to it. So remember this concept through the entire series. Don't make your pens do all the work. Your pen can establish the structure. Sure, it can easily give you the contour, details, textures, and important shadows, just like this drawing that I'm doing. But remember that watercolor can really be used to describe the larger values. Look at your reference. Squint your eyes if that helps. It helps me. And you'll be able to see where the light and where the shadows are. You'll even be able to see where the middle values are. Several of them, even if you're really training your eyes to look. Now, instead of filling all of those areas with hatching, we're going to explore them with watercolor. And suddenly, watercolor isn't just something that you're coloring your ink drawings with. It's actually helping us describe the form. That's a big difference. So here's my simple process. I almost always begin lighter than I think I need. As you can see with this illustration, I'm starting very light. The wash is very transparent. I'll mix more water into my watercolor palette and establish a light transparent wash. Then I leave it alone. I let it dry and I'll look at the reference again, squint my eyes, and I'll see where the light is the lightest. Leave that alone. Look at the middle values and the darker values. So I'm going to paint the middle values with a little bit of a darker wash. More pigment, less water. And you ask yourself, where do I need to add darker values? Maybe it's underneath the red poncho, or maybe it's on the shadow side of the face that's turned away from the light. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm thinking. Now I can come back with another layer. Again, a little more pigment, a little less water. And gradually, I'm building form. That's what I want you to do. And please remember this. It's a very simple process. Put a light wash, let it dry. Observe your subject. Squint. Now, put a little bit darker wash. Let it dry. Observe your subject. Squint. And as many times as you need. You don't have to figure everything out with one brushstroke. That's what makes this such a beginner-friendly way to learn. You build with simple layers and from light washes to darker details. And I think there's something beautiful about learning processes like this. God created us with the ability to learn, to imagine, to explore, to create. Developing those gifts, it doesn't mean that every drawing has to be extraordinary. Sometimes faithfully developing your creativity simply means showing up and making another sketch. Give yourself permission to be a student and to learn about what you like and don't like. Oh, and don't forget to let me know in the comments which style did you like most? The one with lots of hatching or with less hatching and more watercolor? And if you're enjoying this series of bringing your ink drawing to life, subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson. Until next time, keep drawing, keep being creative, have fun, and keep developing the creative gifts that God has given you. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.